your scrutiny, and your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction and presentation. Thank you, my nominee, for your introduction and presentation that lasted almost 20 minutes. At this time, we call on senators to use at least 5 minutes for interaction with the nominee. I will not start with Koga. I'll start with different country, not Nima country.
Yeah, just
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to my little sister and distinguished vice chair of our party, I want to begin by congratulating you. Yeah, the leader one. Okay, my nominee. Firstly, let me thank the president for nominating you to this very, very important position in our country. As somebody that I've known for a little while, I'm quite sure you want to discharge the duty and functions of the ministry to the best of your ability. Just to find out, I saw you displaying graphs, displaying papers that indicate some of the issues that we have with our young people. If you are confirmed, not just reading those things that are on the paper, what practical action you're going to put in place to ensure that young people coming from school will have the opportunity to experience job as you did from the early childhood. Let me get interactive. What else you want to do? Yeah, I'm not really interactive.
So, one of the first things that we'll do is to decentralize, proper decentralization of the activities of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, so that young people all across Liberia can have a feel of what the ministry is doing in youth development, in sports, in TVETs, and the rest of the programs that we have. And we're going to be very intentional about that. We've also talked about the youth service program. While I agree that young people have to be put to work, most times what we have seen here in Liberia is when we describe youth service program or internships, we normally resort to having young people sweep the streets, do community clean up, and that is our own definition of what an internship or vacation job for young people should be. I think we have to shift that a bit. While it is true that by cleaning communities, it shows some level of responsibility to your communities, but there are other ways you can do it. We will be pushing more to work with other government entities who intend to decentralize. I'll just give a practical example. For example, the Liberia Business Registry. Business Registry intends to have decentralized offices, but they do not have qualified staff to staff those offices. Same with Liberian Archive, same with Land Authority, and we can name as many institutions that have that issue. So on the one hand, we have one group of people who have these practical opportunities for young people who are qualified to get the necessary job experience, and then but they do not have the resources to do that. Then you have a ministry with the resources to do that, but instead we send our young people, university graduates, senior students from university to go and sweep the different communities. We intend to partner with different institutions to revive that. How can we use our resources, our human capacity, our young people who are qualified to man those decentralized areas that will not only help to generate resources for the government, but also give young people opportunity to build their CV and be mentored in those particular ways. That's something that we are quite passionate about.
Thank you. My last question has to do with the management of the county sports league. We have noticed over time that we are doing the same thing every year, repeating it, hurting our pockets as lawmakers. What is you going to do differently to alleviate the burden from the common people in the county so that the county meet can be enjoyable? You know, sometimes you go on the field, you pray for your team to advance to the next stage, but you worry about what's going to come from your pocket to support your team. Madam Nominee, what is you going to do so that the happiness continues without praying for our team to leave because it's going to be a burden on our pocket so that when we clap it, we get clap? What is you going to do to help local officials, legislators, and all the stakeholders that come together to form their county, the county meet from their own pocket?
So today, before I came here, there was one thing I kept reminding myself: to not make a lot of promises, But I think that there are some key, at least basic promise that we can make here with the help, again, as I mentioned in my speech, with the help of each of you as one branch of the government, will be able to achieve that. So while I was preparing for my confirmation, I started to ask about the numbers. Apparently, the county sports coordination committee gets maybe between 5,000 to 10,000 support from the government to prepare their teams. And then when you look at the budget of what they spend to hire coaches, to pay the players to play, it's almost maybe 6 to 7 times more the amount that we give. I believe that there are means of generating resources, but it cannot be, we all know the strain that the domestic envelope has. So to sit and say that we'll be able to lobby to get increment at the domestic level is something that we can do. But I believe that if we programize, if we institutionalize or create programs around the county sport needs, then you're able to attract grants and other support. For example, if we move the county needs from just general play for the unity of the country to one where we're talking about developing talents, young talents, that is something that you can write a grant proposal for and say, yes, this is our county need, but the program that we're running is development of talent. That can attract funding from outside of our domestic envelope. So bring innovation to this role. We're going to consult as much as possible. I'm not a sports person per se, but I have a son who is very passionate about sports, especially football, and I intend to use that passion to drive him to continue to do more in that sector.
Thank you, Madam Nominee.
To close up, Mr. Chairman,
I thought you had last question.
yeah, that's my last. That's doing my party comment.
Promotional power.
Madam Nominee, like I said from the beginning, I've come to know you as a result-oriented person, though you are young, quite young, but you focus on what you want to do. My advice is to go to the ministry because this will be a testing time for the young people. You're going to serve as an example that will live on. So while you move to the ministry, we'll urge you to work, open up, work with those that you're going to see there, and show that you'll do what is required as a team. Once that is done, I'm sure you're going to succeed. Congratulations, and you have my full support.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Chairman.
Yeah, go
Normally, I've gone through your presentation I've listened to, and I have a concern, and I want to know what is your vision when it comes to the youth in the rural areas, the challenges they have. How are you going to incorporate in your presentation in terms of this new idea of giving them access to livelihood, giving them access to opportunities to have a job? I just want you to expand on that a little bit from my understanding.
Also, youth, I segmentize, so you have youth who are attracted to the academics, so those will be the ones that will go to school. You have some young people who are attracted to TVET, so they're more hands-on and they want skills training in that. You have youth who have their strength or their talents in sports. And then you have those who will consider the creative, so those who will do the singing, the comedians, the poets, and all of those different groups of young people. I believe that those different groups of young people do not only exist in Montserrat County. Liberia is one country that is very blessed with young talents, innovation, and everything else. As I said earlier, we'll be decentralizing. But in order to answer this question, I'll just give some practical solutions. For example, I've been brainstorming, and that's something that we'll be proposing if we are confirmed. If you look at Liberia along the coastal area, so that would be the Grand Kruah, the Sandlo, the Maryland, and the rest, those with access to the sea or water. Instead of having, we have a lot of vocational, we have 2 vocational centers in Grand Kruah, and then we have a couple of youth centers across that entire range. Instead of having TVET training in soap making, in hair or beautification, in tie and dye, what if we introduce TVET trainings that are linked to the availability of jobs in those areas? So if it's the coastal area, what if we teach them carpentry, how to make boats or ships? What if we teach them how to make fishing nets? What if we teach them aquaculture, so how to do fish farming and everything else? That way they get the TVET skills, but they also are ready for whatever job market that we have that. You also go to other counties where they do a lot of agricultural work, so that would be the Lofa, the Lima, the Bong. Bong is about, so we have the Tibutu TVET Center in Bong. We're pushing for a partnership, I think it's almost completed, for a private partner, public partnership there. What that will allow is to teach our young people from that area or that region, mechanizing, farming. So you give them the necessary skills that they can use for jobs that are created in. That is how we intend to approach the issue of skills development, TVET, and everything. And I'm sure with your support, we'll be coming to all of you senators because you understand your counties, so that we can help to design whatever strategy that will work better for your county.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just make a comment. I think Minister Designate addressed a cardinal issue that we are faced with. I'm constructing vocational centers in all of the districts, and you struck the exact point that I wanted to hear from you, is that we are going to design programs that are within the confines of the living quarters where the young people are. For me, Mr. Chairman, colleagues, I respectfully submit to Madam Minister, let me say congratulations for taking this time to come to us.
Chairman. Okay, thank you. Thank you, I said thank you. Yeah, I'm all right. Senator Cornelia.
It's okay.
Wants to talk now during my time. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. Madam Nominee, first of all, let me thank the President for nominating you. Thank you for your statement. Thank you for giving us hope through your vision.
I said, please, man. I can't say what I'm saying. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll protect her now.
I protect the 100%.
Thank you. I mean, I was saying that thank you for your opening statement. Thank you for giving us hope. I was really impressed by the way you frame the challenges and the opportunities for us, and then climaxing it with your far vision. I know you. I've worked with you. I have no doubt that you will do well there. I have to say, one of the most confident people I've had the opportunity to work with. But she has my vote.
When I get praise, man, I'll you that.
So-
Oh, man. I got very smart. She can't praise everybody.
That would be, no, that would not be fair to the nominee. Even right, she has earned this appointment, and she, based on her presentation, which we vote for on this side. So I just want to say that brilliant, but I'm concerned because everything you've just said here, you're only having, you have the resources. The budget that was just printed, I'm a number guy, I know you sometimes don't like me because of that. But they gave the ministry 9 million, not 1 million. And you were not there when the 9.1 million was appropriated and approved. Now you have a vision. You are a new minister, and you're going to be working with 9 million. Let me check my numbers here. You have 2.1 million for compensation to run the place. All the things you want to do, you have to need 2.1 million to do them. The research, the new programs, so on and so on, to pay the current staff. Then you have 6 million for sports activities. You're not a sports person, there's someone who inspire you, good thing, but you have the largest share of this 9 million towards sports activities, including PSID programs. I think 2 of them, one of them is the National Empowerment Program, about 1 million, and the National Youth Empowerment Program, seeming just that one does not have the youth, another 3 million. So how are you going to deal with this to realize this ambition, wonderful for the country, for the young people you have? And what plans do you have to raise additional resources, and how can this committee and this body help you?
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. The Ministry of Youth and Sports, as you rightfully said, is under-supported, if I may say, considering the percent of our population that particular ministry touches. I agree that every other ministry will touch the life of the young people by all means through their performances. But again, a lot has to be done to buttress the effort of that ministry if this government is intentional about developing our Liberian people. One of the things that we're going to do, that ministry is a donor driven ministries. So there are a lot of, you see the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Youth and Sports, they are donor driven ministry. What does that mean? That means that outside of Liberia, there is a lot of assets to funds that are directed to activities in that particular sector. It is now left with the institution to go after those monies that are available, not just go after them, but to increase accountability of the money that you have and make sure that when donors are supporting you, they can get the resource for what they're supporting you for. So the first thing that one of the things that we'll be doing is to have a dedicated team of primarily young people. I've come across a lot of brilliant young people from across the aisle who are very good at writing grants, they're good at pitching proposals, doing concept work. So we're going to have a dedicated team of researchers and proposal writers and grant writers just to ensure that we scout as many resources from outside. We also have the different concessions here. I feel that one of the things is across the government, there is a lot of resources, but it's not coordinated. So that's what I talked about, the compact that we intend to establish, working with all of the other institutions that have crossing interest in the youth sector. So once we can consolidate all of our fundings and agree as a team that this year you have 2 million in your budget, I have 4 million, the other person have 1 million, that brings us to maybe 20 million. How can we collectively design a program to put these very limited resources to the most use? And once we can do that, you'll see a jump in the resources we have available. You'll also see a reduction in duplication because that's what's happening. Almost everybody doing the same thing. And if you do the same effort but it's scattered, you don't get the necessary results. So we intend to use whatever skills and experience we have to not just coordinate and organize a body that will be passionate about increasing resources, but also to just serve as that bridge between the government, all other government agencies and the young people of Liberia, as the Ministry of Youth and should be.
Thank you for that. And may I thank you for that answer. May I suggest to you that as you reprogram, as you try to harmonize all of the fractured resources in the sector, to please consider working with this committee. Perhaps we could cost, not building expectation here, right? But being proactive in ways. Yeah. So if you can cost your vision, the start point, I think they're really great. I mean, share with the committee, share with the great chairman Moi, the home front, so that in anticipation of the supplemental the president told us about is sooner, we can be here to pass for you. The other concern I have has to do with the county meet. As a young man here, when the county meet was started, we saw raw talents come from the rural parts of the country into the Antoinette Torgbean Stadium. These were names we never heard in the regular league here. They were just rural players, identifying local talent, and most of them became stars. And their life changed, after the tournament. Today, we see the opposite when counties with deep pockets, come to Monrovia and recruit first division players to compete in the county league, which dilutes the spirit of and see that you can fix this. But you see my question, see where it's going, right? So I'm concerned that in my opinion, the spirit of reconciliation, of unity, in a post-conflict country, the continent is far, we need it more now than even before the war to reconcile our countries, right? Our country. And then secondly, there are talents in the country that we are not given the opportunity to shine on the national stage. What are you going to do about this? Because this is really corrupting the continent process.
Most times when we want to bring about reforms, you have to make sure that those that you are pitching the reforms to buy into that vision. So we're hoping to push a vision for the county meet. Yes, it's a good competitive process to show that I'm from Nima County, that Nima won the county meets, and we carried the trophy and paraded it everywhere in Nima. But it's also a good thing to, at the end of the county meet, show that we're able to develop at least 2 or 3 Liberians that will be projected nationally. You have the national team, and even outside of Liberia, we had instances, for example, the former president, he was able to excel on the international scene because he was given a platform, and I believe that we have a lot of those kinds of talents. So as I said in my presentation, we want to decentralize the works that we do and be intentional about it. But accountability has to go beyond reconciliation and unity. When I was meeting with my team, one of the questions I asked was, why do we do accountability? And they said, for unity. And then I'm like, is that all? Because that should be a platform to identify, like they said, young Liberians who have those talents, bring them to national prominence. It even gets scouting organizations from outside to scout them, because that creates an economic pathway, not just for them, but for their families and other families around them. And the country gets to benefit from it in general. So this vision is something that we have to sell to everyone. And once we buy into that vision, we all sit down, review the rules. These are the rules. How can we reduce this and increase the scouting and development of our young talents that will benefit each of our counties across Nigeria?
Thank you. My last question. Young warning, not to stay long. When you get confirmed by this Senate, you are going to join your father and thank you for paying tribute to him and the wonderful job he's done, you and your siblings. You'll be joining him as a colleague in the cabinet. He is responsible for labor, and you are going to be responsible for youth, the population that desperately need labor. And just bear with me here for a minute. Our population is growing more than our economy. Everybody agrees with that. Every government has attempted to solve this problem and struggles with it. Can you tell us, just briefly, how you intend to work with your father and other relevant executive branch agencies and the legislature to close the gap on this unemployment crisis we have in our country?
Thank you. While I was researching for this position, I learned that the Ministry of Youth and Sports was before the Ministry of Labor, Youth and Sports, before it was separated, and you have the Ministry of Labor and the Ministry of Youth and Sports. I believe at that time, the framers of the framers of that act that created that particular group as one ministry, at that time felt that it was important for the two to work hand in hand. Now we have the Ministry of Labor and the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Even prior to my becoming the Ministry of Youth and Sports designate, I'm one person that I'm very critical, even on my own father, because I believe that this government is a government that we advocated for, we campaigned, our faces were before the cameras, telling the Liberian people that we are here to deliver on certain things. Yes, towards the end, my father came and he joined that vision after he left the CDC and joined the Unity Party. But I believe that I have a greater burden to ensure that we succeed. Because unlike him, who had the switch from the CDC to the UP, I have always been UP since 2011. So if this government fails, I bear the biggest burden. So even outside of this role, I have been very critical of him. I believe that there are some weaknesses that we can strengthen through our ministry. Before this confirmation, I spoke with him and the CSA boss. That's why when I was listing the compact, I put the two of them in. CSA controls public sector jobs. Labor Ministry controls private sector jobs. Those are the places that all of the jobs that we're looking for, with the exceptions of those who create their own jobs, like the entrepreneurs, like the creatives, and the rest of the people who create their own jobs. Those are the two major sectors that we have job creation in. We're going to work with them. Some of the weaknesses I've seen is the intentionality about concessions that come and say, okay, we were looking for Liberians for the job, we couldn't find Liberians. Yes, they will bring the advertisement on the paper and submit it to you that we've advertised in 10 newspapers. How can we show proof that we have those Liberians available? My team and myself intend to create what we call a database for young people, where you cannot just upload your CVs, your expertise, and everything, but people, the private and public sector, people can go there and have access to how many accountants we have, how many forklift drivers we have, how many seamstresses we have in the country, people with talents and what they can perform. That's where we can be intentional about these concessions that come and say we can't find Liberian. We can work with them and say this is the database. These are Liberians that qualify for this position and work with them. And I'm going to be very intentional about it. For those who have worked with me, and you, Senator, you have worked with me, you know how intentional I can be about results. I want to use this confirmation to commit to you that nothing about my work ethics is going to change. I'm going to be the same Cornelia that you work with and that brings results, no matter how hard it's difficult to do.
Thank you very much, Madam Nominee, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. We go on our next right. Gorgeous. One.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Nominee, so let me firstly say that I thank the President from his past practice in nominating you because the very age you spoke about epitomizes the nomenclature of this very ministry. That is a good thing, I must say. Now, during your expose, I heard you say that, quote, I am not the spokesperson, unquote. Let me say to you that I am the spokesperson. And so I'm going to give you a few pointers to see how we all can make this country better, even under your leadership. I will piggyback on the people who spoke about the county meet, because that is the biggest sports activities in our country every year. Now, since the inception of the county meet in 1956, Madam Nominee, this county meet has brought not one goalpost in any county for development. But sports is used as a developmental agenda in all of the countries in the world, including the World Cup, including the African Cup of Nations, including the Olympics. Countries bid to host the World Cup not because they are not seeing football, it's because it brings dividends. We need to change the direction. You talk about institutionalization, I'm talking about decentralization. So let's take, for example, for obvious reasons, River G was the county meet. Liberia will prepare herself consequently for Rivergy to be able to host that county meeting. We will build a Stephen Tower estate in Rivergy. We'll build a Matadi estate in Rivergy to host Liberia. Those stadiums and things we'll build there will bring hotels and other things. Dividends to our people. Everybody will benefit, especially the youth you're supposed to be representing will benefit. When we are leaving Rivergy after the county meeting to go to Tony, all of those infrastructures will remain in Rivergy. That's development. And that's what happened all around the world. Remember, there are 2 Olympic villages. People are using their sponge community to build. Morocco just recently made $2 billion in profit to one of the African top nations. What wrong with us? We are hosting a county meet every year. When Nima County win, we eat back. When Rochi win, we eat Papato. And that's it. That's all we get. There's nothing you can show me in any country that has come as a result of the county meet. Satisfaction. Like Nima County right now, just get satisfied.
Well, you know, that's what I said.
That's what it is. Your institutionalization must be added to the decentralization for developmental agenda. We need to do something with this football thing. We're talking about sports development. I'm an example. I didn't go to any football academy, any professional school to play football. I was playing my community and I became an international star. Liberia still has the pedigree to make our people who want them to be. But we need to develop the infrastructure in those different places. And we cannot continue being on ATS every year. And SKD complex, that our will end. Please, let's seek to satisfy these conditions so that the county meeting can go to Cape Town. Let the people then see whoever will bring, they play against. They want to see Rivergy play against Cape Town in Cape Town. And when we leave it for them, we'll leave benefit. When we celebrate it, we'll never fight to host the county meet because it brings up instant gratification. That is what we need to be seeking and we need to seek to do. Now, our very national team, the Lone Star, is honoring your tutelage, madam. The ministry is responsible for the administrative arm of the national team. Quite recently heard that our national team, the Lone Star, has been champion. National team to go to Wonkerleh. This is troubling. Seriously. I've written in the Senate. We've taken action towards that thing. We are calling for those responsible for the outsourcing of that hotel because it's an asset. We need to use it to develop our people like you spoke about. These are my concerns. I'm glad that you are going to the ministry. Like as Senator Cornelia said, you can relate to us, those of us who play football like you. Sorry, sir. That breeze for you. Sorry. You know, like those of our colleagues who play the game,
Thank you.
I understand it needs to bring us.
So you know I played again.
Please.
Senator.
These things will bring us dividends. We can have these celebrated because we are happy only because we want to trip today and nothing to show for. Since 1956, this thing has been going on. We need to stop it at some point to say enough is enough. Please, let's seek to redeem that hotel for our people to have somewhere to stay in their own country. That is a necessity. And like I said, we're breaking the Liberal Senate and taking action. We'll pursue those actions and bring those people who were instrumental in outsourcing the hotel. We want to see how we can revise that decision and give it to our people to develop our talent. Again, congratulations. I will be voting for you. I'm saying here on national radio because I believe you are apt for the position. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, when the man.
Well, let me first of all say thanks to the chairman and to my colleagues. To the nominee, I will begin with a word of caution. The position by the president designated you. So position of test, number one, when it comes with age range, fitted. But the challenge there is, majority of the youthful populace in Liberia are the mover and shaker. Most to even move, talk about sports soccer, they originate from the youth. But the challenge there is, people believe in patronage system. And they also believe that because there was enough in our party, we can promote the person. Your ability to bring these youth together, whether political difference or what, will help you to do a proper job. If you start listening to people that meant that you are very focused on all in the election, therefore, I don't think you need to work here out government. Now, one of the serious problems in Liberia today that are affecting the country and bringing serious disunity among us as Liberians. Whenever any political party wins an election in this country, they antagonize the other political party, they deprive them, even if they are in job. They will find means to take them from that position with administrative decision. It's affecting the society. It's eating the fabric of our ability. Now, in the legal country, there where you have bulk of the youth. But if you went in my hometown, the youth chairman there today is 65 years old. And you go and tell them, you will see some of and the age, I mean the youth are the ones that will drive the developmental agenda of this country when we who are in the 60s, 50s, 70s are getting out of the scene. If you have youth in the interior, there is about 30, 20, 25. They get complacent. There is nothing to create some recreation activities that will mold your mind to achievement, but it's just dormant. They are affecting the society. So your ability to ensure that you regulate or you come up with programs to educate them to know about the role in society, how important they are in society, how do they respond to situations. I think it will minimize the illiteracy rate among the youth populace. You need to look at that seriously. You spoke about vocational school, which is quite correct. The youth these days, some will get out to say, well, I went to my 10th grade, they didn't go. Some say, I will take my 12th grade in, send anybody say, because the war kept them behind, the age they reached down, they seem to sit in the actual class. Then the teachers themselves also accept these people to enroll at that institution. They're creating problems in the youth population. And the result, the youth that is supposed to be depending on for the future of this country, is in bleak. It's a serious challenge to you. You need to work on that. Then the country meet that the police has spoken. The essence of the country meet actually is for a particular country to exhibit talent within that identical local. It bring relief, it bring proud to the country. When they say, Samuel Koba Jr., he passed the ball to Yankwan and song. When they see those things on the football field, you understand? You feel that Yankwan is a proper divine. Koba is a divine. And the children are playing. The people across the country, the feeder, the sons of the soil are playing it. But when you listen to Lofa, they say, Boyanze. Boyanze from Nimba. I was always saying you will give Boyanze to be in Lofa. I mean, then they talk about the fellow who was from Nimba or Eastern. I don't know. No way. The fellow who was I know, senior player on Nimba team. Tape. Can you imagine? You get a ground rule. I beg you. I know what I'm talking about. Don't just forget about that. You understand? Then you know that it's Sunday guy. They pay for Nimba. The real essence of the academic. The academic is meant to bring people together in unison. But the success has gone away. People are now financial in a non-commercial form. For example, the issue of breaking the football arena. People pay referee to cheat on behalf of the team. So you want the money? What do you want the money? I want to let me talk. The human beings are minister of the neighbor. Oh, you want to play there? No, you want to talk. That's a lot, man. That's not play there. So, you take it real. We're not race. Hell on there. Well, it's just a joke. The film of police for Lofa and R. So you were not dismayed for such a vision. Yeah. So I'm encouraging you, if you progress, the youth will be respected. If you fail, there will be a bad legacy for the youth. Because you stood in our position by age. Your qualification, I will tell you as overly groomed. Because your age in our African setting, to be a 35-year-old woman, to have degrees and serving several capacities, and also share a political party, you know, as a coach, vice chairman, or what have you, they actually prepare you. But my concern here is the challenges you got. How will you cope with these challenges to make the youthful populate to be united? Forget about partisan sentiment and bring the citizens together instead of political party issue. Because we don't want to hear the kind of thing. And when you come here, before being confided, I say, sweet thing. Oh, when I'm minister, I will make sure I'll bring them one up, I'll do the other one up, I'll do the. Then when you get in the ministry again, the first and foremost you will be looking at those who are director, they're not under your regime, you want to get at them. It brings disunity. Let a man be transferred or dismayed based on incompetence Do not elect a leader because he comes.
That is my view. I'm not going to use my party's platform or my position in my party to say that because we are not part of the party, it shouldn't come anywhere around. Because if I do that, the 20,000 if yeah, so our goal would be, as I said, to bring more young people to believe in our own vision, in our own political platform that we believe in. I do not intend to use this to drive young people away. On the issue of most of the youth leaders outside, especially outside Montserrat, not being youth, you know, I was pleased somewhere in the middle of my confirmation, the person who gave me my first job ever walked in. I didn't have the opportunity to recognize her when I was doing my presentation. Councillor Yvette Chesin-Rue. Councillor, I randomly just walked into her office one day. We were sitting in UL Park that time. I was still in UL. And then I told her, I said, oh yeah, you got it, the horror secretary here with young people who came to volunteer. She was like, oh great. We need people to be photocopying documents here before we go. Have the first big photo of documents to go and photocopy it. And I stayed there for years and she groomed me. There is one thing I took from Councillor that I use a lot. She always said this. You young people, you're saying you know plenty, but you must build, you must plat the new mat by sitting on the old mat. That resonates with me a lot. So wherever I go, even if there are older people, if it means that there has to be a shift, maybe shift them to advisory role so that we can still use their advice and their expertise. But I think it's important that we bring young people to and they build that transition. Because imagine what happens if you have somebody that has almost 50 years experience in that particular field, and that person is not paired with a young person, God forbid the person dies. There is no one else to continue in that legacy that the person has started. So what I intend to do, and even at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, there are a lot of the heads of departments and other places, those who run programs, who are older, who want to establish some form of mentorship between the older people that have all of the experience there and the younger people so that they can groom these people. Because even in the civil service, you have age range. At certain age, they have to retire. What happens if you retire all of the older people and then there is no one who understands that department, or what happens in the sports department or the youth and sport, or the youth department? So we're going to be intentional about that. As we said, our overall theme is pathways. And you cannot create pathways if you take one segment of our society who are the older people and leave out an important segment who are the younger people. So even with the youth chairs, we'll do the same. Maybe in all of those counties, those who have been youth chair and they're almost 50, 60 years old, they can help us through a transparent, merit-based means of recruiting other young people that they believe can carry out their legacy that they have in their county that they're holding on to. Because most times when you build something, it's hard to release it. So if I have been youth chair for 20, 25 years, and all of the development in youth, I have been leading it, so just let that go becomes a problem. But if I choose who becomes my successor, or at least I'm a part of that process, I feel it becomes easier to let go. And that's something we're going to be intentional about.
Thank you very much. I want you to make an answer as brief as possible because the senators you see here, so after 5, you start going on tomorrow to postpone your hearing to another time. We continue the next day. So just be as brief as possible so that
So big hearing.
so let's go to the let us know. Thank you, Mr. Oh, yeah. Are you sorry?
Yeah, go for me. Go where?
Thank you.
The chairman, thank you very much. My nominee, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Senator.
Have you declared access for the new position?
Not yet for the old position, yes.
Yeah, we need it for the new position.
I will definitely do that.
Couple of things. Firstly, let me admit your presentation was quite interesting. You may call it very smart, intelligent, nominating. I've dealt with you maybe 2, maximum 3 times in your official capacity. And especially in one of those interactions, you are very professional and you came across very well, left a good impression. Unfortunately, there's a general belief out there that you're an aggressive person. I didn't experience that. That's a general belief. Where do you think that's coming from?
Unfortunately, we live in a society where when a female is exerted, you consider arrogant. When you are persuasive, you are considered rude. When you speak in a certain tone that would be regarded as showing power and showing leadership, for males is acceptable, for females to do face. And I think that is the general perception that I have been made to face in the public. Unless you know me and interact with me, you may never know the real Cornelia, because the first thing that comes to your mind when you see a young progressive woman who carries herself in a particular way is that I'm frisky, or she's very aggressive, or she's very rude, until you have the opportunity to work with. One thing that we also have at our advantage is the age and the gender. So a young man my age will not spend as much time trying to inform or to have people believe that you are their leader. A woman, not just being a woman, but being a young person, most times on the first encounter you are dismissed. So how you project yourself is something that is very important. For again, there is a thin line between it being misconstrued. I can assure you that I'm not an aggressive person, because if you just check the feedback since my nomination, those who I've worked with, those in my schools, those in my former workplace, all of those people have come publicly to attest to my working relationship and what I'm made of. I can assure you that I'm not an aggressive person, and the same Cornelia that you interacted with, the same Cornelia that you face at your first or second interaction is the one that is still here, and I intend to be the same.
Thank you. Really, when you talk about your current position for your nomination by the president, there was some dismissal made at the Ministry of State. And your action primarily affected those from the opposition. If I'm right, you are now going to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, even though you just told you intend to recruit all of them to your party, and you are now a one-party state. Well, what assurance can you give us that as Minister of Youth and Sports, you will work colorlessly, without color, work with everybody, integrate the youth population?
We are all politicians, and I may be young, but at least for the few years that I have been involved in politics, I know that there is something called propaganda. So propaganda is normally used to pin an image that actually doesn't exist, even if it's just the slightest truth in it. Yes, when we went to the Ministry of State, a supplementary payroll containing 700 persons was closed. Was the motive of closing that supplementary to put civilians out of job? No. On that supplementary payroll, I have people that I grew up with who came to me. I have a church sister who doesn't report me on media. The only name she knows is Princess. I have people that I know personally who were on that payroll. But that was an institutional decision that had to be made. And unfortunately, for those who know the work of being a deputy minister of administration, you are the backup. So senior management makes a decision, and you have to implement it. That is your role. That is a test of your leadership. If you shy away from implementing, that's your first failure. I think those steps that were taken are some of the same reasons why I'm here today. because those who have worked well know that when a decision is made as a group and I'm asked to implement it, I implement it, irrespective of what the outcome will come for me. I did not close a payroll containing honest decision. We did not close the payroll to put Liberians out of job. We closed that payroll because the Ministry of State did not have the necessary revenue to pay 700 persons over a period of 1 year. And that was an administrative decision that had to be made.
In your presentation, you spoke about, you made reference to different comments, blind men, ancestors, you talked about different issues. But interestingly, you spoke of the sex worker in red light. Could you elaborate on sex worker?
So I know it's not a legal field for enterprise here in Liberia, but generally we all know when I say sex workers, for lack of better word, excuse my language at this point, is people who are referred to as prostitutes. In as much as they're not doing a legal line of work, and we might try to rehabilitate them and reform them and put them back into the society, these people exist. And to close your eyes on that reality will be filling a whole segment of the society that needs help from this government. That was why I was very intentional about naming them, because I knew that by naming them, you'll get under the skin of those who partially do not agree that you must reference those people. We intend to work with them, to rehabilitate them, to show them that there are other means of survival outside of that. And that is the reason why I refer to them in my presentation.
Are the sex worker part of 70,000 jobs?
I think that the jobs were in the formal sector and not the informal. They are considered informal.
No, but the president has shot in middle terms.
I don't believe they are part of
That's my last question. My nominee, so I saw a post of you on Facebook, and I made a comment. And the famous Mo Ali went on the comment and said what he had to say. But interestingly, your response was that you are already a minister of the government. So you didn't get confirmed by the Senate, you just stay where you are. Do you need my vote to go to Ministry of Youth and Sports, or you don't need my vote to stay at the marshal?
So I do not only depend on your vote to get confirmed as Minister of Youth and Sports. I'm counting on it because I know that outside of Facebook interactions, hopefully this engagement here today shows that there are greater rates and more pressing issues that we collectively, you and myself, need to work towards to achieve as a government, whether we are from different branches of government or that. So yes, I need your vote, not just your vote, but your support. When we're coming up with a program for Bonny County, I would like for us to sit around the table, you and Senator Tyler and myself, along with the representatives, and decide how to really develop those programs to tie into your agenda and the overall agenda of the government.
You can't say no to that. Thank you. So, I want to say something to you, and this won't be a question. Just a question to you. I think it was last Friday, the conversation was scheduled. Friday before something like that. There was this big thing on Facebook. Everybody having meetings here, meetings there. It was very funny. And this is just a question because I was deciding today some of the short-term jobs the president was talking about, I think it's cool that he just go around and just lie. People lie about it. I was sitting, and it's important to reference this, Mr. Chairman. I'm sitting in Senator Amara Collins' office, and Senator Dallas did not come to the office. Amara said, somebody said he was on that Friday, going to Baco, go to the box. I said I had a program for me. Senator Dallas said he and Senator Young Twine were going to buy that weekend. So he wasn't coming here. So it was like, every one of us kind of like, she's smart, it's not a bad nomination. Not much attention. So I wasn't coming. They don't say he wasn't coming. But we're only concerned with you having Kruah. Of course, your mission area rescue people are going to come for Kruah, which we knew. So I'm informing attending the program. I'm sure they don't have a thought because he said he wasn't coming here. I see on Facebook that Senator Bill Travel, Senator Delon, Senator Myean, Edmund School at Royal Hotel having meetings. Nothing. You really think I'm not saying you, I mean just to those that spread the lies. We have Senate offices here. Do we have to go way to Royal Hotel and spend money just to discuss our votes? So the reason I'm stating this, my nominee, you keep referencing your age. Keep referencing your age. I just want this country to go and lie. As we go into this new role, and I'm speaking affirmatively, not guessing, as we go into the new role. Go there wearing a cap, that no lie. You will go there, who will come to you tomorrow morning and start showing all the bad people in the ministry. Find it for yourself. Don't let them locate you with big bad people from you. I'm a very proud opposition of this policy. But there's one minister that I have so much respect for, and I think that one of the best appointments the president has made, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I want to urge you to be that record. You impressed me today, I think you done a great job, and I wish you well and happy.
I will not be going, you can travel from where you go. Thank you.
I said, no, yet told you, is the actual fact. I want to my husband and people that I go to meeting to discuss your denial. If I already denied that, I will go to everybody and I call it deny anybody. That the body that God go give me and I install it in town. You know that we talking cordially, we discussing, and people go upstairs to say, so and that, Sarah Dillon, and Michael, we meeting there to discuss, I don't deny it. So we got a question, Thank you. Sarah Dillon. Sarah Dillon.
Yeah, Mr. Thank you. My nominee, Senator Snow said something. Good afternoon. Senator Snow said something, so I just want to. Friday before the last, which was your first scheduled confirmation day, trust me, you were already confirmed by the Senate. All of us. But I will say something. You are Deputy Minister of State. Because of all of us vote, including mine. And you know that. In the Senate, we vote on the record. No yea and nay on the crucial thing. Everybody answers to the vote, yes or no, or absent, or abstain. So when a senator say, I voted for this, the record is there. And you know for a fact, I voted for you. I voted for Wilmot Bay to become minister. After he replaced me, I voted for Martina Ketimba to become minister. I also voted for Kruah to become minister of labor. Father, I voted for A.D. Kruah
to become the director of the DEA. And after he was replaced, I voted for Anthony Small to replace him. I voted for Sekou Kruah, the current Minister of Postal Affairs, to be Minister of Energy Government. I voted for Yami Gbese to become Associate Justice under the CDC-led government and under our government. I voted for him to become Chief Justice of Liberia. And I'm sure you know, and the police know where I'm living from. I voted for all of these people knowing that they come from Nima. All deputy and assistant ministers under this government from Nima got my vote. We already confirmed with my vote last Friday before the last. This thing about Senator Dillon, he let Nima people, he hate us, he after us. It didn't get to me until Friday before the last. That the Nima Student University Association issued a statement on your confirmation day to the effect that I want to deny you confirmation because you're from Nima and I don't like Nima. It is something I want to call on you, Cornelia, the nominee, and all stakeholders of Lima to speak to this. People will not understand the danger that this thing is brewing. Let me say this. You know, kind of mean they're related to why you gotta go. Yeah?
Yes.
They kind of mean when your country of origin is natural. Then you look for one country where either you're away from or your husband or your mom or your in-laws, everybody looking just to be part of. And you know the phone. Grateful country versus Nima. Man, everybody here know my mind. Kruah. Kruah. I posted on the social media to be four part of the Academy Fund. That my man Kruah, when we're coming up, all you to see me some palm or to sweet, you want to go. See the comments on my post from the bias. You hate us. My mother grew and grand grew playing. They have said my mother grew as a body grand grew. See the comments. This is one of the best platforms to speak to this. Because it came out on a day you were first scheduled for your confirmation. And all of these things happened that your confirmation was postponed. I want you and stakeholders of Nima to take note of this. I don't hate Nima. I deliberately, knowingly voted for their Bayakun to be vice president, knowing you're happy to the presidency from Nima. None of these names are called, and including my vote for you again. I'm doing so knowing from Nima. I didn't confirm any of those people as Kruah, Basa, compelling people, and in their job, they became the bias. They were the bias, they still are voted for them. I wanted to make this point. We are one country. These things start like this and end dangerously. I do not hate Nima. In fact, anyway, I just wanted to state this for the record. I condemn that statement. I reject it. I resent it. It should stop. Now, Madam Nominee, Senator Snow asked you a question about being aggressive. And maybe you thought your answer should be tailored in a way that it will earn you and you will reform. But let me ask you, be aggressive. Be constructively aggressive. That's what the country needs right now. I came in the Senate and I became a constructive, aggressive disruptor to change things here. And something changed here. Be a constructive, aggressive person to get a job done for this country. Don't shy away from it. Now, you made a very elaborate, impressive vision plan in your presentation. I want you to package that and submit it to us, the committee. That vision plan, package it well and submit it to the Senate. Because all that he's talking in the formula there, forget it. And let me leave you with this, Cornelia. Is it better to put it in the gallery and put it under there, and put it watching? Huh? It's almost to confirm it. Even if you want to ask questions now, suppose sentimentally inferior. After 2 weeks, when they not see you, they will not say, we're walking here to cheer. They will say, well, and you're confirmed. In the next 6 months, I will rally the Senate for us to call you back to evaluate your medium-term performance. That means you already have the vote of the Senate. We wish you well. Very much well. Let me give this to you. That thing will demonstrate in your journal with your chat. And no matter how we dress on your phone, that graph that you display here, you must do the program. Because if you are not doing the people's work, that graph will be your famous picture. Will you tell me how you?
Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
Sorry.
To add to Senator, I want to inform all the people from Neighbor that Senator had come to me and told me that I will confirm the girl to my vote. But I don't want to appear before I ask any kind of critical question, then they say, Senator Dillon again. And Senator Dillon is right. They control where we're coming from. People kill people in the play just because they were renting in the hospital and maybe they asked them you pay the rent. So just Senator Snow, I don't know what I have that story to find.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I look what buying?
Will you bring that for that?
So I want to add to what he said. I don't think Senator Dillon hate the people of Nima. And he had no plan to deny you. So please get that the back of your mind that Senator Dillon is a friend to you and he has been advocating for your confirmation. He has not been fighting you.
Let me, I want to respond with a particular scenario.
Okay. Your response.
Now, I was about to respond and say that Senator Dillon has not explained the depth of our relationship. In 2018, when I first decided to contest for the by-election in District 13, there were two prominent persons who graced that occasion. We all know how that rally ended, with the rally being disrupted, and we all had to run and go in hiding. So there was a place in District 13 in New York called Town. And thankfully for Senator Taylor and the pro tem, they were right around Town. So all the Basel people ran to them and they started hiding them in the house. Yeah, they sleep at least. And then they had to hide them. As a result of that, the first time when I was in mainstream politics and Senator Taylor decided to contest for the Senate, I was one of the front runners from the Unity Party who campaigned for him on both occasions. The first time when he got elected, and the second time we had a team that campaigned for him. It is because I knew that not only did he support me, but I was under an obligation to support him as well. And since that time, we have had that relationship or that political friendship of supporting each other, something that I intend to continue. In most times, there will be points of strings, depending on maybe in specific. When you're in a court, or you're discussing a particular policy, not policy in this instance, I would say policy, but when you have a case and the two of you disagree on a particular matter, so all of the issues that you raise, those are in the court. By the time you leave that court, those issues remain there. So it is the same way that we intend to approach all of these different instances that we have in that we will come across in this journey, during this journey. That even if I bring the plan, whatever plan will bring, Senator Taylor say your plan too ambitious, and though I am very passionate about doing it, I will ensure that I will move it from there. I will know that it is his oversight responsibility and it's not in bad faith. When that publication came, the first place I saw it from was when Senator Taylor himself sharing in one chat room where from. And after a while, Senator Twine reached out to me. Senator Twine was like, oh, obviously, we're not in the report. So I said, I didn't know people from nowhere. We said, okay, I'm coming, I'll call back because they actually put their numbers there. After a while, he called back. He said, I spoke to them. I said, what did they say? He said, the man said, a preemptive strike. And that's the youthful exuberance. You don't even have to ask those times. But it's the way that Nigerian society and people feel that they have to do certain things to prove to you that they're so supportive and you owe them your entire life. While we appreciate the support that everyone gave, overwhelming support from the youth community, from the student community, when that particular action was taken, we went a step further to encourage our young people to engage constructively. And you cannot put sentiments of disrespect in the way you engage people for performing the oversight. I want to assure you, Honorable Senator, that as we engage with young people on a daily basis, we'll be working towards shifting that mindset and creating a new way that we see things as young people being more constructive than destructive in our approach. I look forward to working with you. I know that if I work with you here on the Senate floor, there is nothing that I would want to achieve that would be impossible to achieve because you are one of those who knows how to work this through. And I want to assure you that I remain committed to the political friendship that we have, the interpersonal friendship that we have up to this day.
Thank you. Thank you. The Honorable Ali Joseph, political leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Senator will change the committee.
You put it on the funny for.
Is that why you're walking out? Okay, go.
My colleague.
All right.
I'm your friend.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and colleagues. I want to say, we are not driving here, I'm following your presentation. I think very good presentation, and I think it is the responsibility of this Liberian Senate and the committee to look at how do we fund this program, because our youthful population, we have to do something. Things are getting out of control. You have thousands in the marketplaces, and things are not okay, most especially with our youthful population. And I believe with your presentation, listening to you, and your past experiences, other places you have worked, you're going to do a lot of great things as a member of this committee and also representing Mosurado on the budget committee. We look forward to your presentation and asking police so that we can support it. We have to take decisions. Please don't be a candidate minister. Please. The youthful population needs you in this country more than even the country. That's another, just a department. But too much that needs to be done in the country. You can have a tour, you need to reactivate the MVTC. Do all you can if you can get whatever resources from national government, having the MVTC be free of charge. I know it's difficult, but many of the young people can't afford to pay the money. What becomes of them? You have to do something about that. And that structure can take up to 2,000-3,000 persons. If that institution is running free of charge, and even look for means to transport them. You see sometimes people walking from Douala going to MVTC, moving. People want to learn, but they don't have the opportunity. We need to create, the atmosphere for them to come and learn. I'm representing Mosurado County. We have thousands of persons in rural Mosurado who have graduated from high school, but no other hope. Nothing. They don't have any other hope. So I trust your ability with those presentations and with the support from the committee in pushing the agenda, the youthful population agenda. I think we can do it again. So, Mr. Chairman, as former co-chair of this committee, and I of course I'm most secure. I'm most secure. Yeah. So you finish?
No.
Go ahead. Thank you. You finish? So I will give you my support. And I'm also into vocational technical education in District 13. The complex building can take up to 6,000 persons. I will invite you to see how best we can work together in making sure that we build the capacity of our young people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Nominee, congratulations again. Today, as former Assistant Minister of Youth Services, Ministry of Sports, today marks one of the significant days in the lives of the young people. When I took over in 2007, we had 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds who were heading youth organizations like LISU, FLA,
and other institutions. But in 2005 to 2007, the young people gathered and drafted a document called the National Youth Policy Document of Liberia. In that document, you need to look further. Everything that should be done for and by young people are in that document. But one of the key takeaways in that document was to have a youthful minister. And for the benefit of the listening to us, the National Youth Policy define young people as between the ages of 18 to 35. And so today, you being a 35-year-old appointed by His Excellency, it is in fulfillment of that document, and I want to congratulate your appointment and the President for that vision of young people. You know, I will be brief. I will not ask you a question. I will be straightforward because that is my old turf. And it was a difficult one because we were reforming. The system were broken down after the war. And so our job was to bring the youth programs on fire. Much has been said about the sports side. They are pretty straightforward. You know, the programs are there. We just need to look for funding to put into sports. But the most critical area has to do with the youth employability and youth employment. And Madam, there were programs that were very successful at implementing in our ministry. And look at your pathway. They are important, but it will require significant funding and it will take significant time. My experience as a youth expert, then, young people are impatient and rightfully impatient because the opportunities are less. So my thing is, why you are focusing on those pillars that you have outlined in your pathway that the Senate and the House of Representatives and the Ministry of Finance will be helping to budget for. I want you to pay key attention to the National Vacation Job Program. That program was a program giving young people jobs across the country, earning maybe some were earning around $100 or $125. And the testimonies from that program was that money was significant enough to post money back in school or to get them, started off with a few logistics. The money might be small, it could be increased. Under your leadership, I don't know the status of the National Vacation Job Program. Those are short terms, medium terms, income generating, venture that the ministry was very proactive on. I want you to pay key attention to the National Youth Volunteer Service Program. And this is Youth Expo most successful program. Many people who are managers of banks and ministers today pass through that program. It's a joint program between the UNDP and the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Take college graduates, train them into employable jobs, pay them, deploy them all across the country. They go into teaching, they go into health, they go into community service, and they come from there and they get a job. I want you to pay key attention to that program. Rejuvenate it, and you will see the success with it. I also want you to pay key attention to the National Cadet Program. The Cadet Program took junior and senior students from the university and deploy them into ministry, agency, businesses, and pay them. The strategy then was, you didn't want to send somebody to be a factory or somebody to maritime and they get rejected and no money. So the strategy we had was we look for money to pay our own people, but we just wanted to get hands-on experience. And guess what? Under our leadership at the time, the more than 250 students that were able to deploy, none of them ever came back to look for a job because they all got absorbed. Because we would train them in certain ways to behave and act that they will be important in the places that we send them to be absorbed. Today, many of them listening to me, they are in, private sector job and ministry and agency that we send them that they are state. And pay attention to the National Cadet Program. All of these big visions are good, but I think our little success rate at the time would focus on the practical steps.
we're taking to get young people short and medium-term job. We And you stated it rightly that there came a time it was the Ministry of Youth and Labor. Ministry of Youth and Labor. There was a reason why. Yeah, labor youth and schools. So you have a huge demographic to confront. Yeah, so yeah, right there, it's a good opportunity that you want to hear. Yeah. And lastly, from my end, I know fully well that you're a firebrand. You come to this job with a lot of energy in you, and I want you to apply that energy towards meaningful venture. So that the young people, the young women feel passionate to see a young person.
In support of the Youthful Minister of Designate, Minister of Youth and Sport Designate, Madam Cornelia. I've come in support of Liberia Youthful Minister of Youth and Sport Designate, Madam Cornelia Kruah. So there you have it here. Various groupings, very different inscriptions, symbolizing unity, symbolizing togetherness, in or in support of Madam Kruah, a Bureau of Professional to promote national agenda, Vanguard Student Reformation Movement, SIM, in support of Madam Cornelia Kruah. So this is the youth wing of the Unity Party margin. They are here with their supporters. Madam Kruah is the stalwart of the Unity Party, Senate Committee on Youth and Sport. That committee chair is Honorable Bill 12 have come up giving their support to the Youth and Sport Minister Designate, Madam Cornelia Kruah. So this is the closing argument. Share our life.
Can you show me? Well, I'm not sure. I don't have another one I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to the subject on hand. Youth is, be patient, Senator. Youth is 15 to 35. Am I correct?
Yes. It is at 35.
Yes. She knew her finality.
Can I put you a question?
I used to have a chance.
Yes.
With me. So, is there, you gave a very good platform. Is there a provision for gender inclusion, given the young people, the young women, the challenges they have today? Is there a provision for young people at the center of your policy or vision policy, as well as civic education. Because civic, we should learn civic as a supplementary course, as young people to show how intellectual we are. But nowadays, I don't see the civic program. So, the gender inclusion or civic inclusion, do you have any provision?
Thank you, Senator. So yes, definitely, just by my being, I'm almost automatically a champion for gender inclusion in the field. But most of that, my first job, as I mentioned, was with the Angie Brooks International Center for Women Empowerment, Youth Development, International Peace and Security. What we did at the Angie Brooks was to make sure that whatever activity that is conducted, the core of it should focus on gender equality. And that is something that we still intend to work on. As I mentioned in my presentation, I talked about partnership with different institutions, and I mentioned the Ministry of Education. On the issue of the civic education, I think that's one of the things that we can work with them on. If we take over as Minister of Youth and Sports, we'll be able to assess with all of the key partners in the government to see where they are currently, what the different programs are, and how we can blend into those programs. So yes, you can rest assured that we all will push for patriotism and civic education, and also that gender equality will be the center of everything. Not just gender equality, but even focusing on our colleagues with disabilities and other colleagues. Now we have an issue of those that require rehabilitation, that we call the disadvantaged youth. So everyone will cut across our different policies and programs.
Okay. The development of youth today is 2 times more difficult. Especially when you look at the subject verb agreement. I spend a lot of time correcting youth on the topic to me about what they want. I spend a lot of time on that. So I want us to put some time into it because it's really a serious thing. I get embarrassed when you talk to my minister, don't go loud. Yes. So